Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharma swarupine avatar varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Today is a very auspicious day. Between 3 and 3:30, the time is not exactly known. Some say it is 3:14 or 3:17, but definitely it was after 3. A very significant event occurred in Kashipur, where Sri Ramakrishna finally revealed himself. He had promised earlier also, not that he had not revealed himself selectively to some of his disciples. Right from childhood, he has revealed himself. Chinu Shakari, when Sri Ramakrishna was just a small child, he recognized and even worshipped him as a divine incarnation. He recognized that Sri Ramakrishna was an avatar. So also many other scholars who used to visit Dakshineshwar now and then, and of course Mathur Babu, Rani Rasmani. But as far as the public of Calcutta is concerned, because that is his field of activity, though he was a universal person, his field of activity physically was restricted to Dakshineshwar and maybe some parts of Calcutta where he very often visited, Bagh Bazaar and some places where he went very often. And of course his birthplace, Kamarpukur, Jairam Bhatti, and occasional one visit to Banaras, Devghar, and when he went on a pilgrimage. Apart from that, the whole life of Sri Ramakrishna was lived in Dakshineshwar. The first 14 or 15 years, he lived in the kuti which was built by Rani Rasmani, where he stayed. But after the death of his nephew Akshay, he could not stay in that room. That room is still there in Dakshineshwar. After that, he shifted to the present room, which is known, very popularly known as Sri Ramakrishna's room in Dakshineshwar, where he spent another 15, 16 years. But then, all of you know, he suffered from a disease, cancer, and the doctors felt that the weather of Dakshineshwar was not suitable. So they were looking for a place in Calcutta, which was not only more conducive to recoup his health or maybe for his disease, but also the doctors could come very easily to certain parts of Calcutta, like Kashipur and before that Shampukur Bhatti, which was very humid. So he stayed there for a few weeks, but then it was so damp, then they decided to shift to a bigger place. Radhananji, though this event is popularly known as the Kalpataru event, according to the Sannyasin disciples, he said Thakur was eternally Kalpataru. Whoever went to him, he gave without any reserve. So it's not that only on 1st January became a Kalpataru for those who were very close to him. In fact, all the direct disciples, the Sannyasin disciples, they did not even come under that mango tree when all the devotees, they knew something big is happening there. A lot of ecstasy, a lot of shouting was going on. But Latu Maharaj and all, they were on the terrace of the garden house where Sri Ramakrishna's room, if you go there now, it is on the first floor. So they took this chance because he hardly left his room. He was so sick that he was hardly able to walk. But that day, seeing him in a good health, I mean, a better condition, and he was just strolling uh, the grounds of Kashipur, they took that chance to clean his bedding, clean the room, and they were so busy that they did not even notice what was going on. So later on, you all know what the incident was all about. How Girish Ghosh, we'll discuss that. We'll have to discuss some more events which happened on that day. That is why I brought some material which is normally not discussed, because we know the famous incident when Girish Ghosh did pranams under the mango tree. And Sri Ramakrishna was in a very ecstatic mood, and he said, "Why do you go on telling everyone that I am an avatar? What do you see in me?" These are the words he used. He said, "See, I am a sick man with this cancer, and you are preaching everyone and telling everyone. What have you seen in me that you are declaring me to be an avatar so aggressively?" Then Girish Ghosh, whose faith was 100%, they say it was 125%. He was so full of faith. It is faith alone that made him overcome all his deficiencies, all his defects, and Sri Ramakrishna showered his grace, took his entire responsibility. And some even say that it is because he took Girish's responsibility. Girish had committed so much of crime. I mean, he was given to so many evil ways, and he was not only a drunkard, but so many evil actions he had performed, that to redeem him, Sri Ramakrishna had to take the suffering on himself. That is, one section of the devotees believed in that also. And Girish knew that. So he was overwhelmed with compassion. Sri Ramakrishna was overwhelmed with compassion when Girish said, he said, "You are asking me why I am declaring you as an avatar." But he poetically said, he was a poet, so he poetically said, what Vyasa and Valmiki could not describe through their Mahabharata or Bhagavata life of Krishna and Valmiki's Ramayana, what Vyasa and Valmiki could not describe properly, the exploits and the greatness and the divine nature of Sri Krishna and Rama and Sri Krishna. How do you expect an ordinary person like me to describe? So Sri Ramakrishna was very much impressed, though in the heart of his hearts he knew that this faith which Girish had in Sri Ramakrishna, there are two things in spiritual life. One is the path of reason, another is the path of faith. So Naren, who normally followed the path of reason, once asked Sri Ramakrishna, argued with Sri Ramakrishna, because he was a man of rationality. So because he was educated in Western philosophy and a lot of reasoning, logic, and other things he had read. So also had Master Mashay M. So all of this young Bengal who had Western education felt that religion ought to be, it ought to satisfy a person's reason. Only through reasoning one can become religious or become spiritual. One has to find out and not just believe in certain superstitions. No doubt reason helps one to get rid of superstitions. It's not that all the faith that people have is based on a conviction. You see, there is a faith which is based on conviction, which is known as Shraddha. In India, just faith, blind faith actually is not a word which Sri Ramakrishna liked. So, in fact, Swamiji meant that. So, he said, faith is very good, but one should not have blind faith. Then Sri Ramakrishna immediately retorted. He said, what do you mean by blind faith? Say either say reason or say faith. There is no such thing as blind faith or faith with eyes. Does faith have eyes? If it is faith, it has to be faith. But that faith should not be a superstition in the sense if it lacks conviction, Girish had faith, and that faith was 125% in the words of Sri Ramakrishna. He said others have 100% faith, but he has more than 100%. His faith is, I mean, you cannot convince him otherwise. That is faith based on conviction. Whereas faith based on hearsay or something, okay, if I do this, if I touch this, if I uh, eat this, if I worship on Saturdays and all these things and follow certain planetary directions and so many things, which is you don't have a conviction, but you follow because the whole world follows. Everyone worships a particular deity on Saturday, so I also go. You don't have a conviction that if I go on Saturday, whatever happens, let the world tell me anything. I will go and worship my particular God on a particular day. And that doesn't depend on others. But if we change our faith, we don't have a conviction. And we say, somebody says, your problem is not solved because you should offer something on Friday on particular God. Thursday, you go to this temple. Especially in Hinduism, there's a lot of choice. You have every day of the week, and then you say you go and worship that particular deity, and you will get your thing, I mean, problem solved. That is also faith, but that is faith based on hearsay, not based on conviction like Girish Chandra Ghosh. So when Sri Ramakrishna said, does faith have eyes, or does it either say reason or faith? If you are reasoning, you reason like the Gyanis. They don't believe in anything. They reason out everything, the nature of the self. They have to reason that the body is unreal, the mind is unreal, the Atman alone is real, and they go on and on and on, convincing themselves that the spirit alone is true. The spirit alone is the eternal truth. Everything else changes. So that is based on reason. So Gani says, if we look for the eternal in the non-eternal, like a body, no matter if a person lives for 100 years, whether he lives for 100 years or 80 years, it's going to go. The body is not eternal. So that is common sense. That is the reason tells you that what is changing and what is temporary cannot give you eternal peace, eternal happiness. So this path of jnana is known as path of reasoning. And Sri Ramakrishna believed in reasoning also. Though Girish was a man of faith, and many times he, out of fun, he used to tell Sri Ramakrishna used to ask Girish to argue with Naren because he knew there will be a lot of uh, difference of opinion. Because one, Girish based his entire spiritual life on faith, 100% faith. He did not want to hear anything. And Swami Vivekananda, on the other hand, he was trained in such a way that he will question everything, even questioned Sri Ramakrishna. He wanted to test everything. And he believed that is also that is also a path which Sri Ramakrishna encouraged. We think Sri Ramakrishna just favored Girish or just favored people with bhakti or just favored people with faith. But he also liked to reason. You will see many times, he sometimes used to ask Master Masha and Girish to, he said, Tumra tarka karo. You just argue and have some discussion. He liked to hear that. Because they knew these people are deeply spiritual. Even if they argue with each other, there is some substance. So we should not take spiritual truths for granted. That is why Sri Ramakrishna, when M met him for the first time and the second visit, he asked him, Upai ki, what is the way to realize God? So he gave 4 different paths. One is Nitya, Nitya, Vastu, Viveka. Nitya and Anitya. That is the path of reasoning. That is what Shankaracharya and the path of Advaita and all the path of Jnana means. There you have to find out what is that which I am chasing. Who am I? Is there something eternal within me? That is the path of self-inquiry. Is there something which is eternal, which can give me eternal peace, eternal happiness, eternal existence? Because I am afraid of death. There's no person here who is not afraid of death. He doesn't want anything to be temporary. Even his money, the fact that he will lose his money If somebody tells him the money that you have in the bank is suddenly going to vanish, that temporary nature of money or wealth or any other uh, uh, material thing that he acquires, he wants to make it as permanent as possible. He knows it cannot be permanent. Money, property, everything will have a life. But still, he hopes, man never gives up hope. He wants to see the eternal in the non-eternal. So Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka means try to find out, go deep into the things that you are yearning for. Whatever you are yearning for, it's good. But find out how far it is going to serve you. Body is going to serve you for 80 years, 90 years, 100 years. But what after that? The fear of death will come. It will come to haunt you someday or the other. When you are young, it may not haunt you. But when you grow, then you know, oh, this is the temporary body which I vainly hoped that it will remain with me. But now it is going, though we know, everybody knows the body is a temporary thing. So also wealth, so also property and all other things which we know we have to leave behind, but still we run after it. So trying to distinguish between the eternal and the non-eternal is known as Jnana Yoga, Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna told M. And then he said, other things also he said, you to have faith, you should repeat the holy name because that will give rise to concentration, which is Raj Yoga. Repetition of the holy name, repetition of prayers, repetition of devotional songs, which remind you of the eternal nature of Bhagwan, the God with form, if you believe in God with form. Then that also is a way as against the path of Jnana, where you are trying to find the eternal self within, that which is not destroyed after the destruction of the body, the destruction of the mind. When everything is destroyed, what remains? What stays? The eternal Atman or Brahman. So that is the path of Jnana. Sri Ramakrishna believed in that. But he had the wonderful teacher that he was. He could guide each one separately and very appropriately. The advice that he gave Girish was not the advice that he gave Naren or not the advice that he gave Swami Abhedananda or Sharadananda. You find he was an ideal teacher. So most of his teaching till the Kalpataru day, before we discuss what actually happened, Kalpataru day he had once said, before I go, I'll break all the pots in the open market. What he meant was, the pots contained so many treasures. And before I go, means when my end is near, when the physical body, the avatar lila comes to an end, before that I'll publicly break the pot, means all the contents will be disclosed. So the disciples might not have taken him seriously. He said this long before he fell sick. And then he also said, when more and more people come to me from Calcutta asking for all sorts of things, know it for certain that this body will not last long. Because people came with a lot of selfish desires. People came with selfish desires, and many of them left Sri Ramakrishna because he did not perform miracles. Because he knew what are the things that will really make you happy. So Kalpataru, literally, we have come to that point now. Kalpataru means whatever sankalpa or whatever kalpana you have, whatever idea you have, which you think will make you happy, if you go after it and you see that it is not humanly possible to achieve it, not with the powers you have, not with the effort, no matter how much effort you put, you know you're not going to achieve it, then you vainly hope that some kalpataru, where my kalpana or sankalpa will become true. Whatever I ask, whatever I foolishly or wisely, not that all people ask foolish gifts. People sometimes are very wise. So whatever a person asks, the definition of Kalpataru is anybody who sits under a that taru means tree. Kalpataru means you go and make a wish fulfilling tree. That is the idea. So people think we see as Sri Ramakrishna has been declared as a Kalpataru. For some reason, they declared him as a Kalpataru, not because he had that state of ecstasy under that mango tree. It's nothing to do with the mango tree under which he went into that trance. But people somehow, some householder devotees made it a regular utsav. That's why if you see, even Belur Math does not celebrate Kalpataru. It is Kashipur because that happened there. And somehow the devotees were so keen and they felt that that day, on that day, you should see the queue. If you see how much people stand in a queue overnight, just because they think they are under the impression that whatever we ask, Thakur will very graciously grant us our wishes. So since it's a wish fulfilling tree. But Swami Sarvasthananda questions this. And in the Great Master, he asks, is he Kalpataru or what did he actually do on that day? So he has given it a different name. He says it is a day where he revealed, a day of self-revelation. Sri Ramakrishna revealed to the whole world, as he had promised earlier, I'll break the pots and all the contents will be open for entire humanity to know what I am and what I am capable of and what I can grant and what I do grant. Of course, he can grant anything, but does he really grant what we want or what we wish for? Because Kalpataru does not choose. If you go under a Kalpataru, Sri Ramakrishna himself told a wonderful story. You know that story, that a person was going in the jungle and in a forest and he was very tired. So he didn't realize that he was standing under a Kalpataru. Even assuming that this mythological tree is a matter of fact, some tree exists. We do not know what is that Kalpataru. But suppose there is a tree. So he says in this parable, he tells that this person was so tired that without realizing that he was under a Kalpataru, a wish fulfilling tree, he made a wish that I'm so tired. If I had a cot, a nice cot where I can just lie down, I'm so tired now. And immediately a cot appears because they say he was under the Kalpataru, whatever wish he had was granted mysteriously. And he sleeps on that cot. And then suddenly he feels now I have had enough rest, but now I need some food. So immediately the food appears. So many things, whatever he wishes, he is really surprised. But unfortunately, at the end, you know how the story goes. When his stomach was full, everything was satisfied. Suddenly, he thinks, a thought comes to his mind, what if a tiger comes here? Because he was in the forest. So immediately the wish was fulfilled and a tiger came and devoured him. So what's the moral of this story? The moral is we foolishly think that whatever we wish is good for us, but we do not know that if we do not know how to wish or how to ask the right thing from a Kalpataru, it may be like a tiger who will consume us, who will come and eat us. That is the moral of that story, and that is what Sri Ramakrishna said. So having said this, what is the significance of this particular day? It is observed. Everywhere we observe Kalpataru. Is it wrong to observe this day? Definitely it is not. Because you see, most of our centers, other than Belur Math, they definitely follow, celebrate this day. But they celebrate with a different intention. I mean, the real idea behind this celebration can be understood only if we read the Great Master or Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga. Because this incident has been described by many people. The person who really started this utsav was a householder who lived near Kashipur, and he started it in his house. It was not even started in any of our centers. He started it in his house, then it became popular because you see, people want a Kalpataru who listens to them. I want a car. I don't care whether it is good or bad for me. I want a car and I want somebody miraculously. I get that whatever I desire. So whether it is any material object or some wish, everybody has a wish and he knows that he cannot fulfill many of the wishes that he has because his capacity is limited. So everybody wants some divine beings or some divine power to come to his or her help whenever he makes wishes which are beyond his capacity. See, when it is achievable by your own effort, then you don't make such fantastic wishes. You work hard and you get it. That is known as Purushartha. That is what is encouraged in our scriptures. So, what you can do yourself with hard work, and there's no limit to hard work. So, whatever you can achieve through hard work is rightfully yours. But if you vainly wish, even though it may be fulfilled, you should realize that every time your wish is fulfilled, it is some past karma because the law of karma is unrelenting. We don't have to think that it is because we prayed or because we uh, fasted on particular days that we got what we wanted. No, it was our good karma of the past life which we are working out. So every time you get what you wish or what we get what we wish, we have to remember some of our good karma is being exhausted. And whenever we suffer, this is what Swami Shivananji once told. He said, when you suffer, you should be grateful because some of your bad karma is being worked out. So when you get something which you don't deserve, know for certain that you have worked for it. It's never by chance or never by any deity's grace that you get it. Maybe you prayed it, that was just an occasion for you to pray, but it is your hard work done over several lives. We do not know. So when you get it, instead of being uh, very happy, you should always be little cautious that you have spent something. It's like you when you draw some money from the bank and enjoy yourself. No doubt you are enjoying, but there is some in the corner of your mind, there is some sorrow that my balance has gone down, isn't it? We never, I mean, when you part with money, money works only when you part with it. Money can buy you everything, but when you have to part with it. Similarly, in our karma, the karmic balance that we speak about, because karma is a very strict and scientific law of cause and effect. So Sri Krishna knows because he is the karma dhyaksha. One of the adjectives of an incarnation is he is the one, or you can even say kapala mochana, means whatever was destined, he can change, he can cancel, he can turn it upside down. Only it is possible for him, but only when he wishes. You can't, otherwise, it is a very, very strict law of karma under which we are. It may look as if it's a fatalistic attitude, but that is what it is. Because if we get something, we should never think that we have got it because we deserved it. Some hard work in some previous life. The karma theory says there was a cause, there was some cause. You have done some good karma in the last life. So you are reaping the benefit. But at the same time, Mahapurush Maharaj cautions us. He said, you have already spent some of the balance that you had. And whereas suffering comes, that's why a person who is a Sthita Prajna in the second chapter, Sri Krishna says, he is not deterred by suffering because he knows suffering is another way of exhausting our karma. We are marching towards mukti. Because the balance has to somehow, we have to exhaust the karma, good as well as bad. So the only way, there are two ways of exhausting bad karma. One is by suffering. That if you don't want to suffer, Holy Mother says, you have to do spiritual practice. She said, somebody asked her, what is the purpose of doing lots of japa? He says japa can undo your bad karma. If a sword wound was destined, you will escape with a pinprick. So that we can change. It's not necessary that we have to work all our karma through suffering. So in that background, if we analyze what Sri Ramakrishna meant, or what we should understand when we call Sri Ramakrishna a Kalpataru. He never said he was a Kalpataru. You see, anywhere, nowhere he says one should approach God, but he says one place he says people have infinite desires, and it can be achieved if the wish of God coincides with your wish, and then he says you have to go near the Kalpataru, you have to go near him. So even to fulfill worldly wishes, even to fulfill our material wishes, we have to make some effort. We may call that as Kalpataru, but Swami Sarvasthananda, as I told you, in the Great Master, he says, this day we should rather call it a day where day of two adjectives he has given. A self-revelation day. Atma Prakash. He said that is the day when Sri Ramakrishna revealed who he really was and what he was capable of. The second thing, bestowal of freedom from fear. So when does fear go? The Upanishad says when you hold on to Brahman, and when all the temporary things, that is renunciation of all the temporary things alone, will give you fearlessness. So abhayam, that is fearlessness, is a quality which comes when you hold on to the spirit and you just ignore the changes that have happened in the temporary. When Jesus laughed when he was crucified, how could he laugh? Because he was holding on to the spirit. He was fearless even to go when they crucified him. Because he knew this is a temporary body which would have gone anyway after a few years, it is going now. So that firm faith in the power of the spirit and the power of the eternal spirit which is indestructible. Swami Vivekananda also told a wonderful story when he said the Jain monk who was sitting on a rock, Alexander's armies came, and then they knew that he was a very wise person. They wanted to take him to Alexander's court. So he said, no, I'm happy here. I don't want to go to the king's court. I'm just happy. He was just sitting on the rock meditating. Then they took the message to Alexander, and Alexander said, no, tell him we will kill you if you don't come. It is an order of the king. Then when he went again to that monk started laughing. He said, what kind of ignorant people you are. You say you will kill me. You can kill the body, not me. How can you kill me? So what Gita says that the body is neither destructible, nor can it be burnt, nor it can be killed. So that conviction, faith with conviction, that one is the spirit or one is the pure consciousness, is what gives you freedom from fear. Bestowal of freedom from fear is the second thing he did on that day, according to Swami Sarvasthananda. First thing what he did was he revealed what he was and what he could give. Now let us see what he could give. What was the remark he made? All of you know. When everybody started praising, everybody was asking something. Some people were asking for money also, one of them. Some people were asking for bhava, ecstasy. So what did he say? Tomader aar ki bolvo? What more can I promise you? Tomader chaitanya hok. That is what he uttered. That's the only thing he uttered on that day. So was he a Kalpataru? If he was a Kalpataru, then he said, let all your wishes be fulfilled. Because now I see on WhatsApp, they put these messages on this Kalpataru day. We pray to Sri Ramakrishna that all our wishes will be fulfilled. It's a dangerous thing. Can't do that. Because our wishes can be so stupid. And if Thakur fulfills all our wishes, we will be in deep trouble. So, definitely on that day, there was the only blessing he gave was let your consciousness be awakened. That means, is he not capable of giving other things? He is capable. Like a mother is capable of giving the child anything the child asks. But she will give only that which is good for the child. Because she really loves the child. She knows if the child may ask for anything. But the wise mother never gives what is bad for the child. So Sri Ramakrishna very thoughtfully revealed himself. That is one thing. By showing his true nature. What is his true nature? The bestower of consciousness, pure consciousness. Tumhare Chaitanya ho. It's not a very small thing. This is a huge blessing because all our sadhana, whatever sadhana we do, is to awaken that consciousness within. So they call in our Ramakrishna Mission sadhana, there is a concept known as mantra Chaitanya. When the Guru gives the mantra, it is just it is full of Chaitanya, but it is concealed. So you need to, just like in a flint stone, there is fire, but you have to rub it. So also the repetition of the mantra, if you see Vireshwaranji and all the great, they used to say that it is not enough to just repeat the mantra. The mantra Chaitanya should be awakened. The Chaitanya behind that mantra has to be awakened. Does that mean that the mantra is a dead mantra? No, it is not dead. It has inherent potency of that. I mean, it is fully potent with consciousness. The mantra Chaitanya is there. But because our minds are gross and because we take our sadhana not as seriously as we should, we just repeat the mantra as a mechanism. We just go on mechanically repeating it. But even then, Holy Mother says, if you persist in that, if you go on rubbing a flint, someday or the other it will catch fire. It's not an ordinary stone. Mantra is not an ordinary sentence or an ordinary prayer or an ordinary verse from the scripture. It is packed with consciousness. So that Chaitanya has to be awakened. So that is why Sri Ramakrishna said, let your consciousness be awakened, because he had the capacity to bestow this gift, to reveal himself by showing that he can bestow it even without repetition of the mantra. That's why you see the moment he touched, he could impart. All other gurus will tell you to repeat the mantra and awaken that Chaitanya within. After a long effort, you may be able to achieve that. But on that day, he revealed to the entire world that if he wishes, or if one is deserving enough, as some of the people who were there, including Girish Ghosh, he touched every one of them. You see the incident. I'm not going into the details, because all of us have read that. He gave it. But there is another side to that. Some of them, seeing others getting this consciousness awakened and going into spiritual ecstasy, they also felt we should also have, like Hriday did once. So one of them insisted. Thakur said, not now, you come later. It's not that he gave everything to everyone. He knew this person doesn't deserve. So that devotee goes and insists. They said, no, you have given it to everyone. Today you are giving this consciousness, you are awakening the consciousness of everyone. So why am I deprived? Said, okay, he touches him. And then after 3 days, that poor fellow, because he goes into such a deep ecstasy that he is not able to do his normal business, normal work. So he comes running to Sri Ramakrishna, saying that please take away whatever you have given me, because I can't, 3 days I'm not able to sleep, I'm not able to do any work. Then Sri Ramakrishna said, that's why I told you, you come later, you are not fit now. Similarly, Akshay Kumar Sen and others, there were a few, not that he revealed himself, only those who are deserving, those who really could appreciate, or those who had the capacity to digest the spiritual power that he gave on that day. So definitely with that, all the people who were present there, and According to Shardananji, he says, we have seen the master being playing the role of Kalpataru or the self-revelation and bestowal of freedom from fear. It's not a unique, that day, of course, it went in a spontaneous manner. He blessed each one who was there. Some 34 people were there. But they were not the direct disciples. They were all doing work. They were cleaning his room and other things. Though they washed everything, there was some commotion going on. But they knew Sri Ramakrishna is our Nitya Kalpataru. So that is the idea, that he is a Nitya Kalpataru. But this day has a significance. If we understand it in this light, that this is the day when he reminds us that the goal of life is to awaken the consciousness within, which can free you from all kinds of fear, including the fear of death. So all fear has, is rooted in the idea that the temporary things will be snatched away from me. Why do we fear? We fear because we possess something and we don't want to part with it. We possess a body, we don't want the body to go. It is a hard fact of life. Nobody is free from that. Even the saint or even the greatest people, they are struggling to get rid of the body idea. Nobody will want the body to go, and he would wish that it is as eternal as possible. I lead a long life with a healthy body and a healthy mind. That is everyone's wish. No doubt it is a wish which Sri Ramakrishna will grant if such wishes he might consider, because it is for a higher purpose. They say this body is the medium for dharma sadhana. Sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam. Means if you take this body as an instrument to reach the goal of dharma, then that is a great good wish. Just to live long for what? That is more important. So Sri Ramakrishna will judiciously decide what for he wants, what is the reason why somebody wants, because he is struggling to do sadhana, he wants to complete it. If he feels that maybe in the next body he'll get a better body, that is also there. We have seen some cases where some of the disciples died so young. Yoganandaji died when he was so young. Hardly Swami Vivekananda died when he was 39. So that doesn't mean that everybody with a long life can do more sadhana. If the intensity it is there, even in a short life one can do it. So we do not know what kind of blessing Sri Ramakrishna gives or what kind of blessing is in store for us, depending on our karma, depending on what we ask. Sri Ramakrishna will very cleverly and judiciously decide what is really good for us. That much we can be certain. He is Kalpataru in the sense he will give only that which is good for us. So we have to be happy or content with whatever we get, whatever we pray. If we sometimes don't get it, we have to consider that as a divine will, because he feels that is not good for us at this stage of our life. Though we may think it is a very wise choice that we have made and a wise wish that we have made, sometimes the mind tries to convince itself, no, what I'm asking is good. What I'm asking or whatever what I desire, I really need it now. Once I get it, then I will proceed on the spiritual path. But if Sri Ramakrishna thinks it will happen otherwise, then he may not give. So this is the caution that Swami Sarvasthananda in his great master, because he has dealt this on this topic with great and in great length. That's why sometimes we need to read authentic biographies, especially so much pain. He could have easily named it as Kalpataru Day. Swami Sarvasthananda was alive when Kalpataru Day Utsav was started. It was started just after his passing away, a few years after his passing away. One devotee suddenly said, and then the people just, because wherever a group of people go, this herd mentality is there, everybody goes. or if we go, maybe our wish will be fulfilled. So that's why you see these long queues, and maybe they get some satisfaction, and some of them may even get it, not realizing that it is because of their good karma they have got it. But anyway, if that faith helps them at whatever level they are to have some faith in Thakur, maybe that is his way, we cannot say. Sri Ramakrishna may attract them through these small things, these small toys. And then slowly, then he realizes, oh, this is not really what I wanted. I want something higher. So we can't say that the giving of the small things, Sri Ramakrishna denies anyone. He might even give, but he will make sure that after giving it, after some time, he will make us realize that what we asked for was very trivial. We could have asked for something bigger. Something, when you go to the king, he said, no, you don't ask for pumpkins. You ask for gold, you ask for a treasure. That is what he meant, that we should know what to ask the Kalpataru. Kalpataru will give whatever we think is very precious for us, but whether it is really precious in the long run, that Sri Ramakrishna will ensure that even if you make a wrong choice, that is how this interpretation of Swami Sarvasthananda says that no doubt many of the people, otherwise why will there be such a big crowd on this day? Thousands and thousands, not for almost 100 years this is going on. It's going on for 100 years, more than 100 years. Every day the queue now, every year the queue is getting longer and longer. So people have faith that they will get something, what they think is very good for them. And at a certain stage, it is Sri Ramakrishna again, he himself will reveal to them that, but wise people, if they read his biography by Swami Sarvasthananda, then they will know what to ask, what not to ask. Because he was again and again blessing them that may your consciousness be awakened. That's the highest prayer, because he knew that what higher gift I can give you. If your consciousness is awakened, if you are open, or if I pave the way to eternal life, what greater blessing one can have. As Jesus said, my kingdom is the kingdom of spirit. People who thought that he's talking of a kingdom where there will be a lot of land, lot of power, lot of property, lot of money, they were wrong, because when again and again the Roman emperors and their ministers asked him, "Oh, you claim that you are a king?" He said, yes, I claim. But they did not understand. He was talking of the kingdom of the spirit. And that is eternal. His father's kingdom, which is the kingdom of heaven, which is the kingdom of the spirit, the eternal spirit. So that is what all incarnations come for. The pure spirit means consciousness. So when Thakur said, Tomader Chaitanya ho, let your conscious, he was also talking the same language of all the prophets. When they said it is the kingdom of spirit that sustains you. So that's why Jesus said, if you see all the sayings also, you can tally it. He says, man does not live by bread alone, but every word that comes out of God's mouth. What are the words that come out of God's mouth? They are the words of spirit. If you see, right in the spiritual history of the world, everybody has spoken of the supremacy of spirit, the eternal spirit, eternal consciousness, which is indestructible. Even after crucifixion, the spirit sustains itself. It cannot be destroyed. If that faith is there, that conviction is there, then we have really received the blessing of Sri Ramakrishna. That is the lesson we learn from this Kalpataru day. That is why two adjectives, again I repeat, this when somebody asks you what is the significance of Kalpataru, when we ask ourselves, we have to remember that this day has been described totally differently by Swami Sarvasthananda when he says, it is the day of self-revelation. What Sri Ramakrishna is in reality, and what is it that he will give us. Are we ready to follow that Ramakrishna? because he has revealed himself fully on that day. Till then, there was maybe an element of doubt. But on that day, they say, on the 1st of January, because he knew his time was up, he passed away a few months later in August. So he knew before, and he had promised that before I leave, I will reveal everything. People did not take the hint, what he wanted to reveal, because everybody was so busy with their own dreams, own wishes, own. So somebody like the owner of that Basumati press, he wanted Thakur blessed him, not that he didn't get. He became very rich. He had a desire that he owns the biggest printing press and makes a lot of money. So Thakur blessed him. There are few cases where he gave whatever the person wanted. But you see, at the end of their life, they also perhaps realized that we should have asked for something better. We should have asked for what Sri Ramakrishna is capable of giving, which others are not capable of. Any ordinary saint can give you blessings, material blessings. These are very small things. That is why when Sri Ramakrishna's biography was written, when Shraddhanji, Swami Vivekananda called him and told him, don't describe any miracles, even if they happened in Sri Ramakrishna's life. Miracles in the sense, curing some disease or some, he said they are most trivial, they are not important. Whereas you see in the history of spiritual personalities, so much importance is given to these great prophets, curing people, bringing sometimes even the bringing them from dead, raising them from dead. Such instances have happened. But so Swami Vivekananda said that those are not real miracles. These are just postponing. Suppose you get a new life or you get some material benefit. It is not going to last. But the real power is changing the mind. He said, we saw with our own eyes, Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda says about Sri Ramakrishna, how day and night he used to change the minds and the karma of people. Today I was talking, somebody asked Vireshwaranji Maharaj, Holy Mother is of course as great as Thakur, or in fact, some say she is greater than Thakur. So somebody asked him, what was the feeling you got when you took initiation? He said, what were the memories of my past? He said, the Holy Mother, he said it in a private interview that the person who went to take initiation from Holy Mother and the person who came out was a totally different personality. They had the capacity to mold the mind. Sri Ramakrishna says it's like martini. You just change it the way you like. This is not a miracle everybody can perform. Other miracles, giving you a watch, giving you some gift, they can create something, and these are all very easy, very trivial miracles because it's a temporary thing that you are giving someone. But to give, to change a mind and make him from Girish Ghosh to a saint, to change the samskaras, change the mind, using his own strong will and infuse that power of Chaitanya or consciousness in a person, that is the greatest miracle. So he said, other than this, don't even if once or two, if few incidents have happened in Sri Ramakrishna's life, which can be called as miracles. But Swami Vivekananda said, you better don't mention all those things because people will be attracted to that. They just want some sort of temporary relief. If I don't have money, let me get some money now. If I don't have this, that is a miracle. So I go to a person who will enable these things in my life. That is what people are seeking. You can't blame them because that is what they are capable of. And they get people who can give them that. But Sri Ramakrishna had none of these things in his life. He was very careful. He himself was careful. Many times they asked, many people asked. He said, even Naren, when he was struggling, when had no money, even to, they were about to drive him out of his house. So he was desperate. Otherwise, can you imagine Naren going and asking Sri Ramakrishna? He was such a man of so much pride and so much of capacity that he would not ask Sri Ramakrishna for him. But even he, because of the circumstances, he went And he said, then Thakur said, I can't ask mother for that. You go and ask. You know that incident. He himself said, you go and ask. I can't ask. He could have easily told, but of course he blesses him with coarse cloth and some means, basic means to live. If you call that is a miracle, it can be called a miracle. But he didn't promise him a very prosperous life. Their family suffered for the whole. I mean, they were somehow able to survive. But Sri Ramakrishna would himself not give any importance to all these things. So it's a very, very I mean, when we pray to Sri Ramakrishna, it is very difficult to understand that this particular role that he plays to really solve our problems by infusing the power of consciousness to change our lives, our attitude, our mentality, so that we don't run after these temporary things. Because he knows if you give them, like it's giving a chocolate just because the child will not disturb you, you give him a chocolate, but after the chocolate is over, again he will come. Isn't it? That is how it works. So Sri Ramakrishna knows if I give him whatever he wants, when that is exhausted, he will come. But let me give him mukti, or me give undivided consciousness so that he is free from fear, he is free from all problems, free from suffering. That's what Buddha also promised, nirvana. When he said nirvana, he meant that this temporary things I cannot give. Buddha also never believed in miracles. He was also like Sri Ramakrishna. You will find there's hardly any miracle associated with him, though he could do it, because he believed it's all temporary and it's not going to serve the purpose. So the day of Kalpataru, we just have 3 minutes. On this auspicious Kalpataru day, we can only pray, because we have to understand the concept of this importance of this particular day as described by Swami Sarvasthananda in his Leela Prasanga. Especially one has to read that chapter again and again, because it means a lot to the devotees of Ramakrishna. If we don't have our idea of our Ramakrishna whom we worship, there is a famous verse in the Rig Veda where the rishis, they discovered so many prayers. Then one day, one rishi, very wise rishi, he says, Kasmai Devaya Havisha Videma. He says, I now don't even realize I'm preparing the sacrifices. Havisha means all the offerings. So, who is the God where my offerings are going? They offer it to the fire, and then suddenly a doubt comes to him. Who is the God where my offerings are supposed to? Kasmai Devaya Havisha Videma. Who is that God? So even he got confused, the rishi got confused. I'm doing this meaningless rituals, doing puja, but who is that God whom I am trying to please? And what will he be pleased with? What is the purpose of my worship? What is the purpose of my havan? In those days, they didn't do this puja and all the things. They did a ritualistic sacrifice, offering havisha, a lot of offerings they used to put in the fire, a lot of ghee also, and so much of ritualistic worship. But one rishi had the courage to ask her. He said, I do not know where my offering is going. Am I just wasting this? So that's why we have to understand who our Ramakrishna is, who he is. He may be Kalpataru. It's very easy to say it's Kalpataru and just ask him for whatever we want. But whether he will really grant and why will he not grant? If he doesn't grant, what is his true nature? What is he? What does he really want to give us? And what he is capable of? This we have. Our intellect is not uh, fine enough to understand all these things. So we have to depend on authentic biographies. That is why we feel the need of reading this wonderful biography, not just XYZ, any biography written by anyone, but authentic biography written by his own disciple, which is the most authentic biography, Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasang. So there, every incident we take, which we are tempted to take at face value, he will go deep and he will try to understand what Sri Ramakrishna meant by this, what he intended to do by giving this blessing of how did he remove all the fear from the minds of devotees, bestowal of freedom from fear. That is one aspect. The other is, as he said, he revealed himself. So, what did he reveal himself? How did he reveal himself? And what was the conclusion? For that, we have to read again and again what Swami Sarvasthananda has wrote about this incident. And then we'll understand the true significance of Kalpataru. So I tried my best to give a few pointers because it's never easy to understand the doings and the teachings and the workings of an avatar. It is very difficult. Otherwise, why will Girish say, a man of so much faith? He says, Vyas Valmiki could not understand, then how can I understand? So that is the attitude with which we have to approach and try to understand in the light of these great saints, great disciples who lived with him, who saw him, who understood him much better than us. So that is our only hope. So on this auspicious day, let us all pray to Sri Ramakrishna so that he awakens that consciousness within all of us at whatever stage we are. Ultimately, we know that he will, the greatest gift that he will bestow upon us is by uh, by awakening our consciousness, and in the process, we will be free from all kinds of fear. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. So now from Nitish will come and then